please introduce yourself?
I come from a computer science background, finished my bachelor's in computer science in 2016, I believe. And like past and post then I've been involved a lot into like full stack development and coding. I entered the blockchain space roughly around 4 years back with being a blockchain developer in Ethereum world. So I started off with like some smart contract development in the Ethereum language over Solidity. After that, I worked with a company which was focused on passwordless solutions. So we were creating like a password-free solution for enterprises, and our main client being Jeffries LLC, an investment banking firm in New York City. So worked out there for like a year or something, and out there also I was playing dual role. So I was like a solutions engineer as well as I was focused on blockchain solutions using IPFS. After that, I started working with this company called Pagarba, which is a blockchain studio which makes IoT devices like for blockchain. So out there, we were using this new technology called Cosmos SDK, like new as in new for me, not new in the ecosystem. And like worked there for a while, gained some experience in IoT, and post that started working with this company which was a decentralized exchange, and I was the developer advocate out there, and now I'm working as a devrel with Tendermint. So just to give you some context about Tendermint, Tendermint is the core contributor of Cosmos SDK, and we have like a lot of different products that we invest in or work upon. One of our flagship products is called Starport, which is a scaffolding tool for blockchains, and my current role allows me to write tutorials for Starport and also like interact with the developers for the same.
Tendermint, so I was wondering how like your day to day looks like just in one day.
Our days are like very very diverse. So some days we could be doing hardcore coding, and then some days we could be like just brainstorming on some marketing stuff. Let me tell you like what we are doing like this week. So like right now we are organizing a hackathon, which is I think the largest hackathon that we have ever organized, and also the largest hackathon in the whole ecosystem. So that has a prize of like worth $1 million. So I think it's a pretty big hackathon. So right now our time is like really really focused on brainstorming what and how do we organize this hackathon. My specific thing role in that is the hackathons would have like a number of workshops. So I am responsible for planning those workshops, conducting those workshops, etc. That's like one aspect of it. Second aspect, which I'm doing side by side, like as not on a priority, but like which is like a part of my schedule, is doing some coding work as well. So right now I am creating like a bunch of different features for our project. So that's what is going on side by side as well. So you could like break up the entire day in like say 40% planning, and then you could say like 40% time coding, and then like 40% of the time I am actually involved in different aspects of it. And I know that I have gone above 100%, and the reason why is actually I'm like too swamped up right now, but it's not always the case. It's just like a very busy time right now. So as and when we approach December, everything like slows down, and then we'll like go in a freezing mode, hopefully.
What would you say like what blockchain is and like what it does to help?
The best way I think blockchain could be explained is by thinking of a ledger or a book in which you make some entry. So say for example like you and me are trading something. So let's say I give you $100, and then we write it in the register that I have given you $100, and then the best part about this is once we have written something on the ledger, that's immutable. That cannot be changed forever. So that's like how a block is made. So a block would consist of like a transaction, like some line which says like what has been done, and then it would reference to the previous node. So the reference would be like I have taken money from Ali, so that would be like the reference. So that's how like the very very basic of blockchain. uh and the best use cases would be like where you would want to have like a trustless system, where you don't want to trust like a centralized like a centralized party. That's how like let's take an example of like banks, because like that's how like blockchain came into like being famous. So in 2008, when the financial crisis happened, at that time Satoshi Nakamoto proposed Bitcoin. Okay, and before that we had a lot of different concepts similar to Bitcoin, but they could not take shape. So Satoshi Nakamoto was the first person who actually shaped the entire concept. He's not the one who coined the concept, but he's the one who shaped the concept. So now think of it like, if I want to like send some money from say India to United States, there's a lot of friction in between, because I have to go to a bank in India, and then the bank goes to the central bank, and the central bank goes like remits the money over wire. So that involves like foreign transaction fees and then the bank fees, etc. Then it comes to the bank in the United States, and then again I need to pay conversion fees. I need to pay the bank their fees and charges and like all those things, and then I get the money, which like kind of takes up a lot of time, typically between like 1 or 2 weeks, depending on the service you choose. Now, imagine a system where we could have like one central currency, and you did not need any intermediaries in between. So that's how like Bitcoin came into picture. Like you could like buy something in India with a Bitcoin, or you could buy something in US with a Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. Like the value remains the same. So that's how like so it's basically, if you want to create something which is like borderless, which does not depend on anyone, then like blockchain is the best use case.
My question is more about, do you sometimes feel kind of a little bit burned out with all the work that you have to do and kind of just stress and kind of.
Burnout is a real word, and I do face that sometimes. Ideal thing that I do is I try to take like a break after every 2-3 months. So I try to like go on a short trip, maybe for like 3-4 days or something, which like kind of like helps me ease out and like helps me like gain that like recharge again to like be back in the field.
How do you find out about blockchain?
Yeah, so actually, that's a pretty interesting story as well. So, I was when I started my master's in Stevens, that was in early 2017. I was doing sequential data analysis using R. Now, I am not a very big fan, to be honest, of like data analytics and all those stuff. So I was working with a professor on it as a research assistant. I was not performing well out there. So it was our, I think, winter break, and I wanted to like try something new. So I heard about this meetup happening in New York, which was about blockchain. Never heard about blockchain before. I had just heard about like Bitcoin or all those things. Had no idea like what exactly is blockchain. And I just went to that meetup. And also it had free pizza, so I couldn't resist. So we went there. I had a talk with those people who were like talking about blockchain and talking about digital assets and all those things. And I remember there was this guy called Austin Murat, who was the CTO, not the CTO actually, the technical lead of Corda, which is like a DLT technology. And he was giving a talk, and then I spoke to him afterwards, and then he said, "Oh, this is a great technology. You should look into it." And blah blah blah. And then I started looking into it. I found some interest in Ethereum, and then I it was like very similar to JavaScript. So yeah, that's how I like started doing blockchain coding, and then I came into this full time.
Explain what like your decisions and what your priorities are.
What does a DevRel do? I imagine DevRels to do like two things. One is we sit in between like the engineering team and the marketing team. So think of it like, if you are a developer and you come up with some issues, say, oh, this is not working or that is not working, and most of the time the frontline people out there are like marketing people. So marketing people can handle like some sort of pressure, but then if it goes like way beyond their reach, then they like have to give it to the engineers. But here's the thing, right? The engineers who are working on the core technology they usually don't have like so much of time to dedicate it to like the people using the technology. So what happens is like, we as developers sit in between the core engineering team and the marketing team, and we make sure that like all their questions get answered. And only if we think that something is like really important, which is like not which is something we can't handle as well, only then that thing goes to the core engineering team. That's the first thing which I think of as what Devrel does. And the second thing, what I think is we are the first users of any technology. So, say for example, we have a new version of our product coming out. So we would like test it. We would like write tutorials against it. We would use it in real time, and then like we could give feedback to the engineers, so they could like reiterate and like better their entire process.
Do you work with like a large team or like a small or it?
My team is called the growth team under Tendermint, which has, I would say, roughly 14 to 15 people. That team is divided into like two subgroups. One is the marketing team, and the other is the ecosystem development team. And we have like got a bunch of people. So we have got technical writers, we have got developer relations engineer, a community manager. All of them fall under the eco dev team. And then we have got like the blog writers, the community managers, and the marketing specialists. They all fall under the marketing team.
Did you get a job right away in blockchain or it was hard?
I would be like very honest with you. It would be hard to get something right away. A good approach I would suggest is by taking, okay, let me answer in both perspectives. So if you're someone who's really interested in coding and you want to be like this technical nerd kind of a person, then you should actually go to the projects you like. Most of the projects on in blockchain are open source. So you should go to their projects and you should like start looking at their code and try to contribute. You could make like small PRs and like small contributions, which could really help you out in the long run. Like, so if someone is hiring, if they already see your work, then they will like pick you up like just in a jiffy, because they're sure like how do you work. So that's like one aspect of it. The second aspect is, oh, you don't want to be like a technical person, but you want to be like someone who is interested, say, in blogging or like creating videos or something like that. So then you could pick up like a favorite project again, and then you can like write about it. Maybe you could pick up two projects, and then you can make a comparison blog, or you could make a comparison video. And that's how you start getting some traction of like both the employers as well as like potential interested audience. So that might give you like a good position. Like when you actually start applying, that would be like really helpful for you to like put in front of the potential employers.
Oh, that was very interesting. So,
You mentioned that you do high school workshop.
Oh,
Yeah. Can you kind of explain a little bit more?
yeah. So basically, what we do is we are teaching students that could be like right from like ninth grade up till like high school or something like that. The background that they come from is they are usually like from developing countries or like from a not so well-to-do background. Usually they don't even have access to like Gmail, or they don't understand what even like Visual Studio is, or like what like VS Code or text editors are. So like we start off with like very basic. So we explain like how to download something and how to like run something, and then slowly when we see that they're comfortable, we move towards teaching them something about technology. So for example, creating your own HTML page which says hello world. So I think that's like a big achievement for them, like for making a web browser say hello world. That's the kind of the thing that we are doing. So they're like very basics, basic stuff that we are doing with them. But then we would eventually want to progress to a little more complicated thing, like making a full-fledged HTML and CSS based website for them. But then that's something which we will have to see, like depending on the circumstances.
Affect your work, kind of like your everyday.
Pandemic has actually has turned out for good to us, because we completely became remote in 2019. So prior to 2019, Tendermint was based in Berkeley, with having offices in Germany and in Canada. So if you wanted to work for Tendermint, you have to be in those places, otherwise you could not work. But now since 2019, we like shut down our offices and we became remote first. So now you can literally work from any corner of the world, provided that you have internet. So that actually encourages people to like not stay in places like New York or San Francisco, which is expensive, and move to like places like maybe like developing countries, or maybe some other places in Europe which are like cheaper. So that way they could like save rent, and then they could spend more time with their families. So for me, like pandemic has like not done so much of like loss, But then I do understand that there are some jobs which have been affected by the pandemic, and that is truly very sad. But if you look at overall, if you look at the jobs which are related to IT, computer science, and those kind of things which can be done on a computer, then those jobs are like very less affected as compared to like other labor intensive jobs.
My question is also like the more lifestyle one. So like, what are some of like your hobbies that you enjoy doing when you're not doing anything related to your coding or professional life?
One thing is I'm an avid reader, so I like read a lot. I have an entire small mini library of my own where I spend most of my time. Other than that, I also like enjoy playing guitar. So I'm not like a pro, but I'm like learning. So I actually spend like 2 days in a week with a coach who like teaches me guitar. So that's fun too. And apart from that, I enjoy hiking. So that's something especially which I'm doing like in this summer and in fall. By the way, like I'm actually going to Arcadia on the weekend, like this coming weekend. So I hope to like at least one or two hikes out there as well. I'm actually reading the Game of Thrones series right now. So I am like a huge fan of Game of Thrones. So I am reading those books. That's cool. Yeah. So actually, I have watched the entire series like thrice. I'm not sure if that's toxic for me, but but I think I missed a lot of details which I'm like trying to grab from the book. So that's what I'm like reading right now. Apart from that, I also enjoy like reading Sidney Sheldon and Dan Brown. So like they are like my go-to authors. If I like don't have anything to read and I want to read something which I'm like sure would be good, then they are the people.
How's like the application process like different as like an international student rather than like a within the country student?
Yes, so that's a good question. So it's an overwhelming process. There are like a lot of different things that you need to take care of. Right off, starting from you have to give GRE, which is like a requirement for international students who want to do like masters in United States, and then you have to give your test for English language. So that could be IELTS or TOEFL, whatever. So that's like the very start of the process. So like that embarks the true start of the journey. And then like once you are the next step actually is for you to like shortlist universities. So an ideal thing to do here would be you shortlist like 7 to 8 universities, where like three would be two or three would be somewhere like you would definitely get, so some like low budget colleges according to like your profile. And then 2 3 universities could be like you might or you might not get kind of a thing. And then 2 3 could be like ambitious. So like for me, my ambitious universities were like MIT and Columbia, which I did not make, obviously. But that's fine. Once you have shortlisted those universities, you actually go ahead and you apply at those universities, and then so that's done. Like you're done with those processes. So once you get your admit, then depending on like what university you choose, you like start looking for jobs right away. So you start looking for like part-time jobs, especially like teaching assistant, research assistant, or other jobs which could like help you in your career. I am not against doing some other jobs like library or dining, etc. Like that's all okay with me. I have like worked in dining and in like in post office as well. But then if you can get a chance to work with a professor who is a research who's doing some research, that is truly valuable on your resume.
I was asking if like college was hard for you because you had to learn like another language and everything.
Wouldn't say it was hard. The only thing which was kind of difficult for me was adjusting in a new culture, which was which was like the only thing. And it was, I think, only for like the first starting few months, and then I was like completely okay with that. But yeah, the one challenge that I faced was I did not prepare well while like applying for universities, and I had to like make the whole thing like very haphazard. So because of that, I could not apply for any scholarships. I could not apply for any jobs at that time. So I had to like wait for the entire year for me to like get a teaching assistant position. So yeah, that's something which you would want to avoid, that you can like apply well before in hand so that you can like get all those benefits.
So I was wondering how you like decided that this was like going to be like a career that you'll be interested in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I always wanted to be an engineer. Like, to start with, my dad is an engineer. My granddad also like wanted me to be an engineer. So I always knew that I will be an engineer. The reason why I chose computer programming is actually because that's a funny story actually. So back in 2012 or 13, I believe, not in, I think in 2008, that's the time when Orkut was like very popular as a social website. And I wrote like a small script that could like hack an Orkut account. And I actually like got an account, and then I could explore like, oh, this is great. This computer science thing is great because it just intrigued me, like how awesome things you could do, like by just writing a few lines of like code. So that's how like I got interested in it, and then I wanted to like make my career as a developer.
Because obviously as like a teenager, I would say you can't really apply to a lot of things. So what would you like suggest that the teenager like that's very interested in like the path of like engineering and that field would be like, how would they like be actively pursuing this passion at that age?
I think it's very, very easy. It's very, very difficult to like continue doing that. So like people are, it's like always you see that people have like a new year resolution that they say that we will like hit the gym every day. They go for a month and then like they stop doing it. So I think like consistency is like very, very important for anyone to be able to achieve something. When I was like when I was in high school, when I started off coding, okay, let me like tell you like a short story here. So just to like tell you how dumb I was in my high school. So for the first time, when we were like given like a sheet of paper, and we were said that this is a C++ program and you have to write a hello world program. So I was like very excited. Oh, we got something to code. And I went home and I started typing the code. Now I started typing this code on command prompt. Okay, so I'm typing the hello world code on command prompt of of Windows. We had Windows XP at that time. At every time I press enter, it used to throw an error saying that this command does not exist. And I did that for the whole night. I was wondering like what happened, what's wrong. Next day I come to my professor and I tell him this code does not work, and he said like it's not possible, it's just like 4 lines of code, how can it not work? And then he said like show it to me, and I opened command prompt and I started typing it over there. And he bursted out laughing saying that, oh, you don't have to put it on command prompt, you have to do it in turbo C. And and at that moment I realized like, oh, I'm dumb. But then yeah, so that's the beginning of like how I started coding and how I first printed hello world. But then something which didn't stop me, so I actually went ahead and I used to like practice coding every day. So at that time, like we did not have access to like internet and all those things. People right now like very lucky, so you have like so many courses on Udemy which are free, on YouTube which is free. At that time we didn't have all of those things. So what I used to do is I used to like take codes from my textbook. I used to like read them and then write them, and then like kind of by heart them and then write it, and then I used to like keep practicing it till I was like perfect with everything. So that's how like I started off, and that's a very, very useful tip, that it doesn't matter if you don't make something like big, you don't make the next Facebook, that's fine, you don't have to do it. Just like try learning something new every day. So even if it's like a few lines of code every day, that's fine, but that will like truly help you in shaping the way you think of a technology.
I'm very grateful for that you came here and allowed us to
Yeah.
ask you these questions. That was very interesting and eye-opening, and definitely offered us a piece of advice on discipline and how we're gonna pursue our passion when we're like not motivated at times, which happens to all of us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys for your time, appreciate it.